Hi everyone, this is Anissa Ginja Art Channel, and today we are going to talk about AI. This is a second part of our podcast series about 3D, about CG with Heather Courage, who is a 3D character artist same as me, and we are going to discuss everything connected with AI in art, in life, just in general. But before we start, remember to subscribe to my channel and remember to share this video on your social media. And now I think it is right time to start. Let's go.
Hello and welcome to our podcast.
And
Wonderful,
how do you think? Why are we going to talk about AI today?
because it's spooky season. What's more spooky than AI? It's spooky. We got it.
Exactly.
It's for Halloween. The scariest thing, apart from layoffs at the moment, has got to be AI and the impact that AI is having on people, on jobs, on the industry, and on our workflows. So I think it ties in really well with the Halloween season. Let's scare ourselves silly.
Exactly. Do you really think that AI is impacting the industry that much as it is like described?
I think I I'm a I I struggle with this one because I don't think that it's as bad as people think it is yet. I think that it'll definitely progress and it will become a major part of any pipeline and workflow. At the moment, I don't think it's there yet, and I think it's still got a way to go. So we're probably in that awkward stage where you're gonna have people that either embrace it or they don't embrace it. And if you don't embrace it, if you don't start learning and integrating with it, you're going to fall behind and you're going to fall behind on what the pipeline is going to be expecting from us. 3D artists and artists in general know like your pipeline is forever changing. It's always upgrading. You always have to be up to date with the latest technologies, whether it's moving from, texturing in Photoshop to texturing in Substance Painter. Those are the changes that you kind of have to work with and change. And I think that if we stop viewing AI as being something that's wholeheartedly terrifying and it's out to get us, it does have the potential to make our workflows a lot, maybe not easier, but it is going to be different, and we should probably start leaning into that. How do you feel about it? Are you one to embrace AI, or do you think it's the worst thing that's ever happened to the industry?
Actually, I agree with your thought that we should not be afraid of it. My
Mm,
personal attitude to AI that we should treat it not like an enemy. We should
mm,
treat it like an ally,
yeah,
because it is already in our lives. And if you will
yeah,
try to fight with it, it will not work. Because it's business anyway. AI is business. A lot of people are making business on AI, and it will not go back. So we will need
mm,
to learn how to live with this. So we'd better treat it maybe not like a friend, but like an instrument
a tool,
which
yeah,
can fasten our work. I'm not saying about like you need to forget everything you learned like in 2D and 3D, but we need to think about it, what useful I can take from AI and how I
yeah,
can integrate
absolutely.
my work to make it quicker, to make it better, to make it something else. Um, uh, I,
I think
I,
it's an interesting one because like you and I both know when I chose to work on the Tokolosh project, I chose an AI image that I wanted to convert into a 3D piece. And I thought that I was very clever and very like up with the times doing this until I got deep into it and realized all of the things that didn't work, all of the things that were where AI had just like made it up as it went along, the jewelry that didn't fit, the posture that didn't fit, like all those little subtle tweaks that aren't quite right. And I think that's the thing that people are seeing with AI is that you can get really cool things out of it, but you still need a human at this point with it. You still need a human to interpret it and make sure that what it's doing is correct and that it makes sense. Even the videos that we're seeing coming out of, oh, I can't remember the name of it. I can't remember the name of it. All the videos that are coming out of there, and they're really, really impressive. They're really beautiful. The lighting's very pretty. It's all very heavily saturated for some reason, but you can still see those weird little glitches that you recognize that it's not made by a person. It's not even a matter of counting the fingers anymore. You can kind of just see it.
I can even continue a thought because AI art, it
Mm,
doesn't look professional. So
mm,
that's one of the reasons actually. And I think AI can be good if you're like selected like a concept which is not AI, and you need quickly
Yeah.
to find the reference, because sometimes we choose concepts to which it's so difficult to find the reference, and you just struggle like through this whole art station and all this Pinterest trying to find the reference, and they are still not exactly what you need. So I think like here, like for 3D, of course it didn't influence the 3D art as much as 2D, but for me as a 3D artist, I think AI is something what we can use to quickly generate reference for the concept which I have chosen. And of course, it as a concept, as you were on under my mentorship when you were making that Tokoloshi, and like from the first glance, that generated AI Tokoloshi looks nice. But when you start modeling it according to the concept, you see a lot of things, and even more, you see that a lot of things which were on that concept, they could be, if we had like a concept artist who draw this Tokoloshi on the base of this generated AI, this Tokoloshi this concept would look more professional, because
they can
this
elevate
person,
it.
yes, because only human can think about, oh, maybe I should make this amount of jewelries less, or I can make them bigger, or some of them I should make bigger, just because he knows all these rules of composition, all these rules of everything, of the silhouette. So as a raw material, I think for me personally, it's against only my opinion, it's not, it doesn't need to be like absolute truth, but in my opinion it can be like a good for raw as a raw material and as a reference, but definitely it doesn't look professional anyway. It doesn't. And all the videos which are generated with AI, which we see a lot, like right now it's used a lot for the video creators when they don't when they are just like speaking videos and they just need to make like a pictures, and I saw a lot of them and they look like quite nice, but for me it's boring to look at them, because every time when I look at these generated videos, I see all the drawbacks. I look at the fingers, I look at any some other things. I see how it's moving, and it's, first of all, it's what you feel when you look at 2D like they say, through a lot images. They are soulless, and that's so weird. That's so weird feeling.
Exactly
you get boring. You get bored so quickly looking at them.
And it's lacking the emotional aspect that only an artist can kind of put into their work, is conveying that very human ability to emote and feel something. I totally agree. And I agree with what you say, where like it's really good to use, well, I don't want to say really good, but it's good to be able to use something like an image generator if you're looking for a specific image, if you want to just like pull something up really quickly. The thing that worries me is that as AI is becoming more popular, as there's more and more and more of this AI art that's being generated, bearing in mind that AI is scraping and using data that's already on the internet to create those images, it's kind of pulling references that are not good references for itself and then spewing it back out at you. And so it's getting more and more muddied, which is very, like, it's already been seen in things like ChatGPT, where you can ask it what's 2 + 2 and it gives you the wrong answer. And it's in the same way that if you were to use ChatGPT to help you apply for a job, so you wanted to write a new cover letter based off that information, you would never, I really hope people would never, just drag that information straight from ChatGPT, slap it out and send it, because you know that it's going to have mistakes. You know that you need to sense check it. And I think that that's something that artists will still always be important for when it comes to the final piece, is being able to sense check it as a person, as someone with emotions. Does it have the right feeling? Does it generate the correct response in the viewer? In that regard, I don't think that AI will ever be able to fully take over the role of an artist in the art field. Will it cull the amount of jobs available? Potentially. It just means that as an artist, you're gonna have to work harder. You're gonna have to try harder. You're gonna have to study more to be able to be ahead of it. It's not a competition. It's a new thing that we need to learn to adapt to work with.
I also think, I've just thought that potentially we can have such a situation in the industry that at some point we will have a lot of games with AI. But again, I'm pretty sure that it will brought us to another crisis, just because what I said, you get bored from such games very quickly because you don't
Mm,
have the soul. Why we like such games is Ori, because it is emotional. Why we like
yeah.
such game as Stray, because it's emotional. So again, all the games, not maybe not all, I don't know about all, like the majority of games, they're designed to stir your emotions.
Mm,
But AI, what makes AI? You get bored from looking at this. So of course there will be games designed with AI, and at first that will be a boom, and they will be looking like
mm.
cool, and everyone would like, it will stir like another wave of I don't know, of our riot about all this AI. But I'm pretty sure very quickly like the humanity will understand that such games, they really look boring, and that's the
Yeah.
main problem, the main problem about AI. I never used AI for, like, I never generated any image at all, like in AI, never. I
Oh,
used a
I
lot.
have. I have. I generated
Tell a
I
story.
tested it out, and I generated a concept piece that I was thinking about doing. And it was actually really cool because I could use it to then plug the same image back in and say, like, right, give me the front, back, and side for the same character. It wasn't perfect though. It wasn't as good as if I'd gone to an actual artist and got an artist to do it. But it's doable.
So mainly you have like the positive experience in using AI, but I think
Uh, yeah,
you've
but I've
never
never
made that
used I
3D
never used
character.
it. No, I never made the 3D character, so it didn't like I just wanted to test it out. I was literally sitting in a pub with my husband and it was his fault because he's interested in AI. So he started doing it. And then of course when I was watching him doing it, like, no, but hold on, we can try this, we can test this. So, you know, that you can do it. But again, even though I had used the same image and asked it for a front, side, back of the same character, there are pieces that didn't match, there are pieces that didn't connect where it genuinely wouldn't have worked and a concept artist would have been better. That said, the thing that always worries me with it is that I, as a poor starving 3D artist, I can't afford to pay someone to make me a concept every time that I want a concept, which is a failing as well because I am then part of the problem. Because in the same regard, a studio will say, well, I can't afford to have a 3D artist, but I can use this instead. And it's this weird cycle where I always worry that I'm part of the problem in using 3D, in using AI, because I can't afford to pay for a concept. I am the same as someone that's going to use AI to do 3D work. It's worrying.
Yeah, well, actually, if you're talking about, like, of course, we both are 3D artists, so we are mostly
Mm.
going to talk about perspective of 3D artists. I know that for 2D artists, like, it's much bigger problem
Yeah.
than for us. But I think even in the situation, if if that happens, that 3D artist will in a company, not in every company, just let's pretend there is a company which generates concepts in AI, and they don't have like a concept artist who can adjust everything, who can refine. For us, for our 3D artists, it's going to be a challenge to make a
Yeah.
3D. It's not going to
Oh
be like
yeah.
a very big challenge, but in our, I think on our side, that will make us work more as a designers, because we will
Yes.
need to, well, for us, like, of course that's going to be very difficult. Maybe that will lead for to the growth of the skill with time, if you have like a
Mm.
proper team leader who understands everything in design. It's going to be challenging too much, but on our side it can be beneficial. But again, I never want to experience such, I don't want to learn to become a better artist through this way,
Yeah.
because
No,
it's
I agree.
no, of course not, but potentially it can be. I'm not voting for AI at all, but
Uh,
still it's what I think being a 3D artist, which challenges I can come across if this AI will continue to develop. I think, well, if we are talking from my experience using AI, I never used it like for art. I used a lot, yeah, like GPT chart for like my personal needs, like a lot. I really used it. And when I first 3 times I generated what I needed, it was, for me it was perfect. It was so perfect. When it was like I needed to generate something like on the same topic, but a lot of versions to have. And I realized that on the fifth, when I already read everything, I realized everything looks same. It is completely same. And then thanks God I know English and I can just to edit all the text which is written
Yes,
there.
yeah,
I went through them and I literally was using usual dictionary or like Oxford dictionary which has synonyms to change, to
yeah,
replace the words. Like and somewhere to replace
yeah.
grammatical structure to make them
Being able
looking
to edit the end
human.
product is so important. Exactly. You've got to be human and you've got to be able to, you've got to have a human that edits the final version because otherwise you are just going to have this regurgitated mass that comes out every time. I absolutely, totally agree with that. Whether you're using it for a text-based program, an image-based program, a video-based program, there's going to end up, there's always going to be a human involved there somewhere. And I think it's like you and I always say, if there's only going to be 10 3D artists left in the world, I'm going to be one of them. And the same thing applies in this situation where if AI decides it's going to start eating jobs, I don't care. I'll just fight it. I'll still be here. It's fine. I'll find a way to use it. I
You
mean,
know,
I can only imagine that people had the same response when 3D art started coming into play, where Toy Story became a thing. It must have been terrifying for all the 2D animation people looking at this and going, what is this computer monstrosity that's coming to take our job? And we've seen there's still definitely a space for 2D art. There's still definitely 2D animation. It's still there. There's still 3D, there's 2D. It coexists together. And I hope, fingers crossed, hope that that's the world that we are moving towards. Instead of it eating the jobs that are currently there and eating the art style that's currently there, it's going to be there as something that is coexisting and supplementing towards something rather than just annihilating what already exists. I can't imagine that AI is going to eventually take over everything. Although that said, we are looking at living with robots in our houses thanks to Elon Musk. So who knows? Maybe we're all going to get shot by robots. The future is now.
we have already seen a lot of films on this topic.
I've watched way too many Terminator movies. I know how this ends.
I was thinking about the movie I'm a Robot, I think it's this
Oh,
name.
I Am Robot? Yeah. Well, I, Robots? Yes, yeah.
Fantastic, I
Yeah, it's the
love it
same
so much.
thing. It's great. Like I love that we are slowly but surely watching all these sci-fi films and going, well, that was terrifying. And then implementing it into our day-to-day life. Humans will never ever learn.
Yeah. Well, actually, I've just thought about one field where the AI can be useful. Again, I'm moving a little bit away from
Mm,
art. I'm again talking
mhm.
about like generating and generating text and all these things. I think that it can be useful in the professions. Well, not in professions, in the fields where we need to avoid personal judgment, like history. For example,
Yeah,
if we just upload the facts of let's say I don't know a certain period to this
yeah,
base and it will analyze and it can give you theoretically I think it can give you the like the history without judging, and that's
yeah,
what
and
I
an
think.
unbiased opinion.
Yes,
That would be really interesting.
I think here it can be like the most useful way to use AI. But
Mm,
if we are talking about art in our industry, it's it's more a tool. It's not something replaceable. It's something what can be used to facilitate your work, but not
yeah,
to do the work instead of you.
yeah. But in terms of our work and AI, would something like Zremesher not already be considered to be AI? Is that
Exactly.
is that not already that? It's something that's been bothering me in the back of my mind. Is the PDR workflow not already AI? Are we not already incorporating functions of AI to perform the tasks that we're doing? And yet we see day on day, you can use Zremesher to, to retopologize your mesh, but you know what's going to happen? You're going to use Quadron, you're going to do it yourself. So there's various elements, like if they can use it like we're already doing, there are elements that we're using that are absolutely great. They're fantastic and they're making things so much faster and so much better and so much nicer for us. And focusing on those key points, it's cool that AI is used to create pictures. Very cool. Wonderful. Is it functional? Not at all. Like there's no purpose behind that, in my opinion. Being able to use it
Exactly.
for something that has the ability to speed up a workflow. Oh God, please, yes. Bring me something that can retopologize my work nicely, effectively. That's what I want. That would be absolutely
Exactly.
fantastic. I think every 3D artist, the moment that first drop of AI came out, everyone was like, please do the retopology for me, please.
Yeah, we all wanted it. And again, it's you mentioned that Zremesher in that brush, and that what
Mm.
I'm thinking about this. I think like twice a week, every single time when I use that Zremesher, because I definitely it's not based on the AI. It's based on like kind of algorithms, which I have no idea how work. But that was I was thinking that AI is like a ancestor of
Yeah,
of AI, because you
yeah,
teach anyway when you make in that Zremesher, you can teach that Zremesher. It's not like it will repeat everything, but you can use Zremesher guides, you can use color,
yes,
and again you
yes.
are telling to the program where you should have loops, where you should have more topology. And I really, I every time when I use it Zremesher, I'm thinking like, hello, you were before AI, so it's
Yeah, this is Zremesher is coming to take our jobs.
and
That's
another
what we all
thing.
need to take away from this.
And another thing which I remembered is when I was at GDC conference, and I was watching the presentation of new Substance Painter. I think that was, or
Mm,
Substance Designer. I think Substance Painter was, and I remember that they showed that with the help of AI inside of Substance Painter, you can generate Tilable textures. And when I was looking at
ooh,
this presentation, I was thinking like, thank you, God. This is the best
this is
application
really
of artificial
cool.
intelligence in 3D, because it's what I think. I personally always thought about this, because when it comes to tellable textures,
Mm,
it for me it's always a nightmare, because yeah, especially if you need some ornaments there, because you very often you end up going to Photoshop, drawing it yourself, and then trying to match it to make tellable. It takes you
yes,
time, but with
yes,
AI you can create the tellable textures there. And I think for tellable textures, AI is like fantastic
yeah,
I don't know, update which we can use
yes.
here.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that I think that there really is space for AI to be an accomplice, an ally, something really good for us to have as part of our workflow. It's not necessarily, I, I really hope people don't try and jump ahead and go like, oh, we'll just use it to create all of our models, because you're going to end up with something really disappointing. And not only is it going to be something really disappointing at this point, in 5 years' time, who knows? At this point, it'll be really disappointing. But you'll also have an outrage from people, because there is a strong movement of people against the use of AI. And I think a lot of that comes from just straight up fear. There's a lack of understanding and a great fear that comes with not understanding something. Everyone's watched iRobot, Terminator, and all those other films, and in their minds, they're just going, well, that's it. That is what is about to happen. We're all going to get eaten by robots. Zremesher is going to kill us. And that's not, it's not what is going to, well, I hope it's not what, Elon Musk, please don't make that happen. I hope it's not what's going to happen. But if we are going to be using it to incorporate into our workflow, like creating tileable textures, please God, yes, that's fantastic. That's wonderful. Using things where, as a struggling artist, something that's going to make things easier for me, please, yes, that would be wonderful. I appreciate that. And I hope that that's the direction that we're going towards. On the flip
Exactly.
side, I've already seen people starting to talk about creating full motion pictures, full-length movies using nothing but AI. What do you think about that?
I will just repeat what I said before. It will be like fantastic at the very beginning, and
Mm.
well, there will be a lot of people who will genuinely like it, but it's going to be boring.
Do you not
AI,
think that that ties in with like the Marvel films at the moment? There's been a massive outcry about the amount of CGI that's used in Marvel films. Where I'm very bad with Marvel films. I watched Doctor Strange, I think it is, with my husband, and the whole thing was just CGI. And more power to those artists. Good for them. You did a great job. But it was overwhelming. it was like, but I can't even remember what the storyline was, to be honest. But the
I
whole thing was
also
so
don't remember.
saturated, so bright, so quick, so fake that by the end of it, I was like, that was just, it was silly. It made no sense and it was silly. And I feel like it's interesting that we're at a point where people are going, there's too much CGI in films. Oh my God, won't it be fun when we have all AI films? So which one do people want it to be?
I think something will be generated. Something will be
Yeah,
generated, but again,
yeah,
it's not going to replace the artist because
not.
otherwise it's going to be look boring. And again, about that Doctor Strange, about all the CGI, the thing is
Yeah,
that it is a film exactly for CGI. It's not, I don't know,
yes,
it's not, let's say, war drama, it's not love drama. It is film with this magic. And of course, there's going to be a
yeah,
lot of CGI. Yeah, and well, I'm pretty sure there are a lot of people who just adore it because like CGI in
mm.
Marvel is fantastic. It's just perfect.
It is
It's
really
it is
good.
it is
Yeah,
I
it's very good.
can imagine how much money is spent on the CGI, but it looks really cool. The thing is, yeah, there are a lot of CGIs here, but this film is designed for this. It is exactly the
Yeah,
film where they can just use everything with CGI. So
yeah, absolutely. Like the whole thing, I think the whole thing is just filmed on a green screen and then off they went. They just made it up as they went along. And you know what? Credit to those actors for putting up with it because I can't imagine how difficult it must be trying to act when you're acting to like a green tennis ball on a stick. It's incredible. I love watching them do it though. It's
oh,
hilarious
the
and it's just
same.
incredible watching them.
Yeah,
But
I was watching the Game of Thrones, the behind the
mm.
scenes, how Daenerys was talking to her dragon, and it's just
Oh yeah.
green piece of something.
It's so cool. Like I give a lot of credit to actors being able to do that because I can barely keep a straight face when I'm talking to a normal human being, let alone a tennis ball wrapped in a blanket.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly.
So
Uh,
if we're living in the end times of our 3D art world, if we are about to hit the precipice where AI takes over and destroys everything, what's your plan? What are you gonna do?
Great question. Well, let's say that we are facing the crisis. It's not only because of
Mhm,
AI, because of a lot of different
mhm.
reasons why we are in crisis right now. And what I thought that if, well, I will get bored from 3D, I will use my 3D for blogging. I will be just a blogger talking about 3D. I mean, that's not because the industry will die and no one will be interested in it. That's
Mhm.
because I would be like too tired from all these things. It's natural that we have fear in front of something new. What happens in front of something what hits you like immediately. I can give like a weird example, but it's like another example. Like when the war started, I didn't know how to live. I thought that my life was ruined and I didn't know. But right now, it is, I still live in war. Like, yeah, I'm not there, but it's, you are finding the ways how you can continue living, continue in your life, building your career, building your plans. So when this fear like comes down a little bit, you start thinking how you can adjust and apply what you have right now to your life. And that's why I know that a lot of people just hate AI and all the things, but the thing is, as I told, it will not escape. And when this fear goes down and we need to learn, we need to find ways how to apply it to your pipeline. Because if you will not do this, there will be other people who will do it
It
and
will.
who can take your jobs, not because they are using AI, just because they have found way to apply AI as a tool to their
Yeah.
pipeline process. And right now they are making their original art quicker, for example, quicker than you.
Yeah.
And that's a
No, I
problem.
agree. I totally agree. I think that's one of those things of like, why at the moment the industry is going through a rough time. There's been a lot of layoffs. Is that because of AI? No, that's because of people. That's why that's happening. So I don't think you need to be scared of something like AI. You should be more worried about someone who isn't scared of AI and who's going to use it better and faster than you do. That's your That's your bigger competition,
Yeah.
really.
That when sometimes I'm asked if I had an opportunity to have like any superpower, which superpower it would be, and I always say that I want to have the quick adaptability, because the
Mm,
world right now changes quicker than it was changing like
absolutely.
200 years ago. And
Yeah.
people those you will win only if you adopt, if you get used to changing situation quicker. I
Yeah.
know myself, I'm not slow, but I'm not like exactly the fastest. For me, even when my reality changes, even not drastically, it's like, for example, moving to another apartment like that, I need a couple of ways, or I need a couple of weeks to get used to my new way of life living in another apartment. Despite it's like not something drastical, but still my psychic needs time to get used to
Yeah.
new circumstances around me. And of course I
Mhm.
would like to go this way quicker, not in 2 3 weeks, but in like 2 3 days. And yeah, that what
Yeah,
happens to.
adaptability is one of the most important things. And that's not even related to AI. That's always been the case. Especially in the world of technology, if you're working with technology, you know that it's going to change quickly. You know that your setups are going to change. I mean, even your graphics card is changing, your computer is changing, your tools are changing. Every day there's new developments working within this field. This is just another one of those things where it's like, okay, now we've got something new that we have to learn. And I mean, we all know 3D artists, you're never done learning. You're never finished. I don't know a single person that works in 3D that doesn't have a catalog in the back of their mind of like, well, next I need to learn how to do this, and then I need to learn how to render in this, and then I need to change because this has come out. Everyone's got that list. I think, however, that AI, instead of it being something that you put to the side and go, well, I hate it, it's probably something that before you decide you hate it, you should have a crack at it, see if you can learn it, how you can use it, and
Yeah.
know thy enemy. The best way to conquer anything is know what it is. So getting involved with it now, when it is fresh, still relatively fresh technology, it's only going to get bigger. Right now, it's the time to get involved in it and start learning and understanding it, because otherwise you are inevitably, unfortunately, going to end up being left behind,
Are
whether
you
you
going
like that or not.
are you going to learn something of AI in soon?
I don't have a choice because my husband thinks it's the bee's knees. I have no choice in this matter. I will have to learn it because he's so interested in it. But for myself, yes, I think that it is something that I'd like to experiment. I've got quite a few things that I'm working on at the moment, but once I get a gap in my schedule, I think that's the next thing that's going to get slotted in there is, try and see how far you can push AI and what I can do with it in terms of my pipeline and workflow. I think it'll be fun. It might end up an absolute mess. It's very likely going to end up an absolute mess, but that's part of learning. So it's all right. We'll see. We'll see what disaster I create using AI.
Well, as for me, like the next thing which I'm going to learn is going to be Unreal Engine, which is not AI. And
Yay!
if we are talking about AI, then I would definitely want to deepen more in creating the stylable textures in Substance Painter, because that's
Yeah, I love
something
that idea. That's
interesting.
really cool.
And
That is
anyway,
very, very cool.
I follow like Substance Painter Adobe channel in Instagram, and there are so many new features there that I feel like, well, I need to try them. I need to try them to see how it works, because it also
Yeah,
can facilitate my work and make my characters better and so on. But again, now industry, it's not the problem. The thing is that, as I told before, the pace of development is very fast, and like in 1 year we have like so many new versions of programs. We have new
yeah,
ZBrush, we have new ZBrush for
yeah.
iPad, we have new Substance Painter, we have new Marmoset,
Marmoset.
and
Oof,
you
the new
feel
Marmoset
like,
looks good.
uh-huh, and you need to learn this everything. It's not like obligatory to learn everything, but at certain moment what I feel, if I don't look at least through the presentations what new features are there, and at least I don't try, and if I do it like for 3 years, let's say I'm just ignoring all the things, I will find myself not up to date. And
Yeah, absolutely.
it's like when I talked about, I think about Paul Gaboury from ZBrush, who created the brush, and I think he was talking about Dynamesh. When the first Dynamesh was released in that brush, it took a couple of years for people to start using it, because they just
Yeah,
like a
that
new
makes sense.
feature, okay, new feature, new feature.
Yeah.
But right now we understand how Dynamesh is useful and important when you make your art. But when it was first released, it was difficult to persuade people that you need to try it, try it, try it, try it. It's a good feature.
So does that mean you're going to start using Sculptress Pro a bit more?
Oh, actually, I don't like Sculptress. Yeah, sorry, Maxon. I don't like Sculptress. But there are situations when you think about Sculptress, and for example, you have already finished your model, and for example, you have hands. It's already like good topology, and everything's going. But you need to, I don't know, to make your something here, for example, right? For example, here, and you understand that you anyway you don't have enough polygons, and exactly here, I think the Sculptress is like the best way. You can vary.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I'm busy working on fingernails at the moment and I never thought of using Sculptress for it. So that's how I'm going to do that now.
Yeah, of course we can use this HD geometry, which I always
Yeah.
use for making pores on the characters. But it's not the case. You don't need to use this huge, very resource demanding tool just for one nail. You can just use
No,
Sculptress, and that's
no,
going to be
Sculptress Pro
easier.
works for that.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's so
exactly.
many, and there's so many new tools that are coming out at the moment. There's so many new softwares that are becoming available that it's an amazing field to be working in. I think that's something that instead of being scared and anxious about it, remember that one of the reasons that, well, most people, one of the reasons they get involved in technology is that it's exciting. It's so
Yeah,
exciting. We've got so many cool, new and exciting things coming out. It's better to embrace the flow of technology. If you're one person fighting against a current, it's not going to change the current, unfortunately.
exactly,
So it's
exactly.
kind of better to go with the flow, learn how to adapt with it, learn how to change with it, see how you can utilize it to your own benefit. And then from there, you'll only become a better and bigger artist. So use what you got. I don't
That
think, even if AI came out and took over everything, I don't think that there wouldn't be a space for a traditional 3D artist that's using ZBrush, Maya, all the rest of those things, Blender, all the rest of it. In the same regard that I will still to this day very happily watch someone doing charcoal drawings because it's fascinating and it's beautiful. And that's exactly the same thing. That's exactly where we are right now. There's something new coming out, and that's scary, but it's very cool. It doesn't mean that we are going to suddenly disappear. We're still going to be here. People will still be interested in watching people, like you say, if you do blogging with it, people will still be interested in watching someone sculpting because it's fascinating and it's beautiful and it's art. It is art. Art never goes away. It's art.
I think that it is the perfect thought and the perfect speech in the end
Ah.
of our podcast.
Ah. Yes, I got the final words in.
Yeah, the final words for yours.